When I was making like the fourth or fifth episode of my show, the show about the show, it was about like fan mail. And one of the fan mail notes I got was somebody in Amsterdam said that they wanted to fly me out to Amsterdam to do an episode of the show there. And, they would like provide me with a crew and with equipment and a place to stay. And would I want to do that? And I was like, well, sure, I'll do that. But how would that work? Like every episode's about the making of the previous episode. So how would that work? But I kind of figured out a way to do it by just incorporating it in the show. And so I said, yeah. And he said, okay, here's a contract for you to sign. And I read the contract, and there was this weird clause that basically seemed like it said that he had like final cut. And I said, well, I'm fine with the contract except for this part where it says like you have final cut. He says, oh, yeah, that's just like a boilerplate, a contract. Like, you have final cut. Like whatever you want is fine. Like, don't worry about it. It's just, what's on the contract. But, you need to sign it just for legal reasons. But we have an understanding between us that you have final cut. And I was like, okay, because, I tend to make fun of people and some people don't like that. And, he was like, no, I know. That's why we want you to make fun of us. Like, we have no problem with that at all. Like, you do whatever you want. Like, we just want you to do it in Amsterdam, and we want to just be part of the show. I was like, okay. And I signed it, and I went to Amsterdam, and I shot an episode. It was about sort of trying to come up with ideas for the episode, and then what the ideas were, and how just what happened during the making of that episode. And, they said they wanted to try editing it first, the first pass, and I said, okay. And they sent it to me, and it was like not good. So I re-edited it, and I sent it to them, and they said, oh, this is great, but we want you to change like just a few little things. And basically, wherever I made fun of them, they wanted me to cut that out. And I said, no. I mean, that's the whole point of it, is to point at the absurdity and the contradictions and what's funny about the situation. And he said, no, you have to cut it out. And I said, no, I don't. I have final cut. And he said, no, you don't. Have you ever read the contract? And I said, wait a minute. We had an understanding that I have final cut. And he said, it's not in the contract. And if you release it as is, we will sue you. And I was just like, oh my God, this guy's like a snake. Like a complete, total con artist and liar. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, I spent all this time working on this episode. And Aziz, the producer, said, I can't believe you signed this contract without showing it to me. 1, don't ever do that again. And 2, are you out of your fucking mind? And 3, no, we're not going to release the episode. They'll sue us, and they can because you signed this contract. So I never released that episode. And, I never spoke to that guy again. His name was Miguel. And then last year I went to Rotterdam for a screening of another film. And I invited this guy, Peter Grigg, his name was. He was this British guy who worked for Miguel. And he was a really nice guy. And, I was like, I'm going to be in town if you want to come to the screening, I have extra tickets. And, he came and, he liked the film, and we talked afterwards, and he said he wasn't working with those guys anymore because he didn't like them. And he didn't feel good working at a place that had no ethics. And it wasn't just my film. It was, everything they did, I guess, was like that. And afterwards, we were talking about, what happened, in Amsterdam. And I told him the whole story from my perspective. And he said to me, they wouldn't have sued you. And I said, really? He said, yeah, they were just bluffing. Like, they're not going to sue you. Like, they don't want to spend the money on getting a lawyer and trying to stop you. They just were saying that to try to control you. But, they wouldn't have done it. And I was like, fuck, I should have just released it. But it wasn't up to me. It was this whole, organization that was afraid of being sued. And everything in life seems to be based on fear.